Hey, hey, yo. There I am. Um, Hi. Okay, boom. Now, this. Yo, you here? We making a tier list. Let's zoom in a bit. Stupid ads. You know, but All right. So, we're making a tier list on One Piece arc because I am caught up on the anime. I'm caught up on the anime. So, like, fuck it. I did this before, not live, before I got caught up. But now I want to do it because I'm caught up with the anime. Also, let me figure out. There we go. I don't know why I didn't pick that up at first. Okay, boom. Let's get some music playing. Let me get some. Let's, let's see. Let's do all the One Piece opening. Hopefully, this is the actual end. Okay. All right. We're gonna go in order. We're gonna go left to right, then left to right. So we're gonna start in order. Yeah. All right. So, hold on. This is loud in my ear. Okay. So let's start with East Blue. East Blue. I think East Blue was okay. It was funny. I think it was a funny arc. Funny arc. I enjoyed it. It's not like, oh my gosh, East Blue was so amazing, but like, it's cool. East Blue's cool. Drum Island, once again, it was cool. The chopper moments was really good. I'm putting it above East Blue. I'm putting it above East Blue. These are, will be in like order. Baroque Works, I think Baroque Works is really good. I really like Baroque Works. That was a good arc. Baroque Works was fun. Then the fucking from the town where Luffy and Zoro fight. Then you get to Alabasta. All of Alabasta was cool. And you seeing Luffy actually lose to Crocodile. So Luffy has to use like monkey brain to figure out how to beat Crocodile. I think World Curse was good. We got Robin in that arc. We got the best girl in that arc. What else? Let's see what else about Broke Works. We got a lot. There's a lot of cool characters. We got the future goat, Bon Clay. So I think Broke Works is a really good One Piece arc. Skypiea is another good arc. Anel was a cool villain. And all the Skypiea, the mantra, which is like their version of hockey before we even figured out it was hockey. Then also the funny thing about Skypiea, I will always remember Skypiea because I was high out my fucking mind one day and I tried to watch One Piece to calm me down. And it was during me watching the Skypiea arc. And like it didn't help. I was so confused. I was so fucked up. So I'll always remember Skypiea as that arc. But I think Skypiea was good. This arc, this filler arc, made me stop watching for a bit. It was so painful to watch. It was so painful to watch. I hated it so much. It was so ass. It was so stupid. I'm like, how this lame ass character beating everybody? Cause it's just gimmicks and lame. I hate lame ass people who use gimmicks to win. I can understand doing it once, but his whole thing was using a gimmick. Team cheats. I mean, his squad would cheat. His squad would cheat to win. They were so ass. This arc was so bad. I hated it so much. If this arc disappeared, I would not be sad. Water 7, I'm assuming we're going to include Ainz Lobby with that. S tier. Ainz Lobby. Water 7 was good because we got the whole Frankie stuff and the build up to Rob Lucci. Because you figured out Rob Lucci now were actually part of CP9, which is part of the government. They fucking smoked Zoro Luffy. They smoke Luffy, get that man stuck in the building, then bam, they pull up, they steal Robin, and they get out. Hold on. Yeah, they pull up, still Robin, beat Zoro and Luffy ass, and there's a lot of cool characters in Water 7. You figured out about Frankie. We get introduced to Frankie. Ice Pops. I can't remember his name. I just remember now. Remember Ice Pops. We get introduced to him. We get introduced to the whole Water 7 crew, the shipwrights. So yeah, I think that was good. Then we get fucking Ainz Lobby was so good. They bust in the Ainz Lobby, running through, find the CP9 agents. Chopper finally goes monster mode. Chopper goes monster mode. We get Sanji with his special move that he always used with foot turn hot. We finally get that. Then we get Gear 2. We got Gear 2 in this arc. Gear 2 Luffy. We finally get introduced to Gear 2 in this arc, which is sick as fuck. Then we get one of the best scenes in One Piece where they talking to Robin like, what do you want to do, Robin? What the fuck do you want to do? She just yells out, I want to live. She just yells, I want to live. Perfect scene. Amazing scene. Water 7 including Ainz Lobby is good. Thriller Bark, I will put it above East Blue. And I put up Drum. I like Thriller Bark. Thriller Bark was cool. We got Frankie. It was interesting. Everyone like amazing. It was an interesting arc. I fuck with Thriller Bark. Yeah, we got introduced to Frank. We got what's his name? No, Frankie. Brooke. We get introduced to Brooke. Brooke backstory about how he got revived and his whole crew dead. He got stuck on the ship for like 50 years. Start going insane. He meets the Straw Hats. Luffy like, hey, want to join my crew? He like, sure. The whole crew freak out about Frankie. Yeah. Then he run into Thriller Bark. Thriller Bark was crazy because they get their shadows taken, which kind of nerfed them, and also they had to fight themselves. Them fighting the Orc was cool. Orc, the big red ogre. Yeah, them fighting that. What else? Get introduced to Kuma. We get introduced to Kuma in his arc, and Kuma smoked the Straw Hats. And one of my favorite scenes, the Zoro scene, where he like, you know what? I'll make a deal with you. I'm gonna take all of Luffy pain. I'm putting in this bubble, and if you can absorb all of his pain, you got it. So Zoro like, you know what? Let's go somewhere else. Man, he absorbed all that pain. Sanji comes find him. He's like, what happened? Nothing happened. Bloody as fuck. Zoro's fucked up. That part, the little Bark fucked Zoro up for the rest of pre-time skip. Pre-time skip, Zoro was like kind of fucked up. After that, Saba Odi. I think Saba Odi. So I'm assuming. Okay, Saba Odi is, the Amazon arc is all the Straw Hats fighting Kuma and them generals, or not generals, but the Navy admirals. Then you got I assume when Luffy went to Amazon Lily. I'm assuming at the Amazon Lily we'll consider that. At the Amazon Lily, that's what Summer War starts. So yeah, Saba Odi. I'll put Saba Odi at A. I think that Saba Odi was fun to watch. Saba Odi was a fun watch. You saw the Straw Hats actually struggle versus somebody. So that's like, run. We're gonna meet back up in 3 days. So it's like, it's fucked up to say this, but it's kind of cool to see the Straw Hats meet somebody that's like, whoa, we cannot fuck with this guy. So they went to dip. So yeah, it was cool. Straw Hats met their match. Because to this point, they was just like, they struggled. They struggled in all these arcs. But they overcame. This was like the first arc where you like, oh wait, they cannot fuck with them. Like the Straw Hats are not fuck with them. Yeah. Hold on, let me zoom in a bit. It was like, oh my gosh, man, fuck it. It was like the first arc you saw the Straw Hats were like really struggling. Yeah, first arc you saw the Straw Hats really struggling against the enemy, and they wanted to like retreat. It was like rare. When you read, it was the first time they saw those Straw Hats wanted to retreat from somebody. Yeah, they all get separated, and Luffy goes to Amazon Lily, and that was cool. That was a cool little segment. And after that, we get the next A tier arc. I mean S tier arc. Oh no, sorry. We get the next S tier arc. Summit War was godlike. It's honestly above Water 7. Summit War is the best pre time skip arc. Like, yeah, Summit War was the best pre time skip arc. It was fire. You got Impel Down, or the Impel Down part was cool. The way they escaped was dope as fuck. Then we get the actual Summit War, which was fucking crazy. Actual Summit War, we got Whitebeard throwing hands. You got Luffy looking up to Whitebeard, just like, not even looking up, just talking to Whitebeard like he's just some regular guy. Yeah, you got Luffy talking to Whitebeard like he's some regular guy. Luffy just doing crackhead things. What else? Do we get anything like any cool reveals? You get told that learned that Ace was Gold Roger's son. Yeah, you learned that Ace is Gold Roger's son. What else? A lot of, I'm trying to think. Then you get one of the biggest things in One Piece. You get Ace death. Ace death hit Luffy so hard. I think Ace death is a huge turning point in One Piece, because that fucked everybody up at that time. It still fucks with Luffy a little bit to this day, I think, but he's over it. Not over it, but he's like, he accepted it. It's hard to accept, your life, your brother growing up death. Then also in this, like, and afterwards we learned about Sabo. But yeah, Summit War, amazing arc. Fishman, I didn't like Fishman that much. Now, like, looking back at it, Fishman was cool. It's like, it's a cool arc, and it was a chill arc for like the Straw Hats coming back. But I don't think I enjoyed it. And like, thinking back at it, it took me a while to get through Fishman because I had to like stop watching it, because it was just I wasn't fucking with it that much. Yeah, Fishman Island was kind of boring. Like, I stopped watching it for a bit and I had to like power through it. When I feel like I had to power through an arc, I didn't fuck with it. Punk Hazard, it wasn't as bad as Fishman. Looking back at it, Punk Hazard wasn't like, oh, amazing. It was cool. We got introduced. We see Law back. I would say we got introduced. We saw Law again. We run into Caesar, which for some reason he lasts. You get introduced to Caesar and Punk Hazard, and he doesn't go away till Whole Cake. Why did that character last that long? I don't know. But yeah, Caesar. Yeah, the Straw Hat switches bodies. It was cool. It wasn't a bad arc. It was more fun. It was I didn't get bored watching it. Yeah. I think I'm gonna put arcs right here where like I wasn't mad, but I had to like power through it. Dressrosa, my favorite arc in One Piece. It's my favorite arc. This is my personal tier list. Dressrosa is hands down my favorite One Piece arc. I get my favorite character. You get my favorite Straw Hat brother, Sabo. Sabo's the GOAT. Sabo come back in the arc. That was huge for Luffy. And he gets the Flame Fairy Fruit. We get, my favorite character, Doflamingo. Godlike character. Get Sabo back. We finally see Gear 4. What else happened in this arc? What else? What else? What else? It's just all the ups and downs going into Dressrosa. Like, oh, why are these toys alive? Then you forgot the toys are people that got silenced and people forgot about them. Then you go to the underground and you figure out the fucking they're working the toys like slaves for the weapon trays and all that. It was just such a sick art. It's so many times I want to rewatch Dressrosa, just only Dressrosa, but I can't, because if I rewatch Dressrosa, I gotta rewatch everything else. It's only right. Dressrosa is my favorite arc. It will all of One Piece. Zo's probably my favorite beach arc. And all these arc I got in B, I got Zo. I fuck with Zo. Zo was cool. Like, ain't a lot happen. Like, fight wise, there were no like mini fight. You get Sanji getting snatched up. Not snatched up, but Sanji gets, has to leave the crew. You figure out about the poneglyphs. You get, no, not the poneglyphs, but that's when we kind of first get Kaido people, if I remember correctly. Kaido people start showing up right there. You run into the Minks. The Minks are cool. You get Carrot and Pietro. Carrot and Pietro was cool. A lot of cool characters in the arc. You meet. That's when we finally start like tiptoeing into Wano. Because right here, Fishman is where we, right here, when we start getting like into like, oh, nah, was it? Trying to remember. Is Fishman where we start like getting like we need to go to Dressrosa? Nah, right here, because we make Kinemon. We make Kinemon. And Law wants to take down Kaido. No, Law wants to take down Dofi. And Kinemon wants to get back to his homeland and find his people. Wait, while I'm doing this, let me move this up. Let me move Punk Hazard up. I like it more. Now I'm like thinking about it. Punk Hazard is cool. So that's when we like, oh, we need to go to Wano and take down these motherfuckers. Because Kaido's oppressing Wano. And all that shit. Zo's cool. Zo's like high B, low A. But I'm gonna keep it in B. Whole Cake was cool. Whole Cake is an A tier arc. I think Whole Cake was cool. People didn't like how long this fight was between Katakuri and Luffy. I enjoyed it. Then the Luffy and Sanji shit that went down in Whole Cake that shit was sad. Seeing Sanji just kick the shit out of Luffy and Luffy do nothing. I remember I was watching a video and they brought up a fact like, what would Zoro do if he found out that Sanji did that to Luffy? What would Zoro do? It makes you wonder like, what the fuck would Zoro do if he figured out that Sanji like just beat Luffy ass? And I didn't like putting it first. I kind of like, as the arc went on, I didn't hate it. Katakuri is probably like Luffy fights. I enjoyed it a lot. Katakuri was a cool villain. He wasn't even a villain. He was there protecting his people, and Luffy was trying to fuck with his mom, so he had to stop Luffy. Hold on 1 second. They had to stop Luffy. Yeah, but that fight was cool. Katakuri versus Luffy was a cool fight. We get introduced to Snake Man. Then Katakuri observes Haki being godlike, crazy. Yeah. Reverie. I'll put it down here because I ain't care for it. Like, okay, nobody gives a fuck. Wano. Wano above Summit. I think Wano is amazing. I can see why it took so long. It's so much build up. You get to the point where like you stop at Wano, you talk to the townspeople, you figure out the town people are fucked up. You get the death of that one guy. I can't remember his name that was held up on the cross. Gives you one of the coolest Zoro and Sanji things. You get the small fruit. You get Luffy. Oh, Luffy being locked up before the guy died. Luffy being locked up. Figuring out about Riku. I forget how you pronounce it, but figuring out about the hockey thing so he can. Well, because he fought Kaido, got his ass whooped. Because he's like, damn, I can't get past the scales. He get locked up. Then you figure out, figure out the thing to help get past Kaido. Man, you get that. You get that guy. They playing on Onigashima. They're going to Onigashima. You got the motherfucking Straw Hat mix. It's the Straw Hat mix samurai pirate alliance. I feel like it's more in there. But yeah, you get that alliance. They're all pushing into Wano. Then you get the backstory of my second favorite character, Kanzuki Oda. My boy Odin. Oh, that's my boy. I fucks with Odin so hard. Odin's one of my favorite top 5 characters. Second favorite character. Odin's so sick. You get Odin backstory. That's another thing I just want to probably just watch again. I would love to rewatch Odin's backstory. That shit is so sick. Then you get the fucking fighting Onigashima. Fighting Onigashima was sick as fuck. The Zoro King fight, the Sanji fight, the whole build up into them two fighting. The Black Maria. Okay, I'm gonna the Black Maria Robin thing. Sick as fuck. You see Robin snap on Black Maria. Whoo, that was sick. That was amazing. See Robin snap on Black Maria was sick. Then we have Egghead. I don't want to tier Egghead because it's not done. But as of right now, Egghead got a lot going on. I'm put it right here. I'm not done with Egghead. Because Egghead's not done in the anime. But as of right now, Egghead is right here. I haven't finished Egghead, but we're gonna put it right here. Egghead's sick. There's a lot of shit's happening. A lot of lore. You got betrayal. Yeah. This is my One Piece tier list. It might be a little weird because like I enjoy a lot of these arcs. I just enjoy them. These arcs are like, I love it. I could watch it again. These are good. I fucks with them. These are fun arcs. I wasn't too bored of them. They were just fun little arcs. And this one I had to power through. I hated this. I hated it. I had to power through this one. This one just pissed me off. This made me actually angry. But yeah. Oh, that's it. So I'm gonna save this in BRB. Hi. Yo, we here. So, this is day one. Day one of me learning Blender. Let me shrink myself. No, I'll be fine. Shrink myself a bit. This is day one. Day one, learning Blender. I have little to no knowledge of Blender. The reason I want to learn Blender is so one day I can make a 3D model. One day I can make 3D models. So the goal is to make donut. What's this? Uh, hold on. Make the donut. Make multiple donuts. We're gonna make the donut until it feels natural. Then step two, phase two, we make props that I can use. We make props. So I should write these down. Let's do this. Let's make a Google Doc. Doc. Go to docs. New document. I don't know. Let's minimize Blender. Alright. Let's do this. Let's make a big old thing. Impact. Center. Goals for Blender. What's my purpose? To go make a 3D model. Now, let's see. Phase one. Okay, hold on. You put phase one. Phase one. Make the donuts. Did I spell that right? I didn't spell that right. Donut. Okay. Make the donut. Then make multiple. Then make multiple donuts. Then we'll go to phase two. Make props to use in Wahoo. How you spell this app again? Yeah, Wahoo. Make props to use in Wahoo. We're gonna make 3 devil fruits. I'm gonna make 3 devil fruits. That's my goal. I'm trying to make 3 devil fruits. What else? What other small props we can use? You're gonna make a banana. Let's make a banana and arcade cabinet. I can't spell. That's right? I spelled that right. Yeah. Okay. Make an arcade cabinet. Phase 3. Phase 3. What would be phase 3? Phase 3. Let's say fuck it. No. Yeah. All right. So that's the plan. So this gonna be a three phase method. We make the donuts. After I feel comfortable with donuts, we make props. After I feel comfortable making props, we make people. Work our way up. I will be ass. I have to remember I am ass. I'll still probably be ass even when I reach this. I'll be less ass when I reach this. That'd be, yeah. The goal is to make a 3D model. That's the reason I'm starting Waldo though. I mean, starting Blender. Because 3D models are really expensive and I really like them. So if I want to be lazy, I want to be cheap, I have to make my own. Then I could probably make other people 3D models. Make other people 3D models so it can be affordable. Yeah. Okay. So that's the goal. Oh, wrong thing. Alright, let me see. We're gonna edit. Oh, I put that on the wrong chat. I'm used to my Twitch chat being on the right side. No, that didn't work. Okay, screw you too. Am I not live? Am I live on Twitch? I am live. Okay. Okay, so Nightbot just not working. All right, so we have a tutorial video pulled up. So let's, yeah, I'll be hearing that in the background.
This view, this window right here, is your 3D viewport.
Okay.
And it's where you'll spend probably 90% of your time because
give
it
me
is
block.
the 3D
Give me
world.
cube.
So you can see that we
Give me
have
cube.
three
Give me the
objects here.
cube.
We've got a camera, we've got a cube, and we've got a lamp. And when we click on it, you can see it's selected because it has the yellow outline. So let's delete the default cube, of course, and replace it with something else. So we could do that by going up to the add menu up here, or by remembering the hotkey, which is Shift A. So Shift A for add. So usually the one you're looking for is underneath mesh. So these are called your primitives, and it's what you use to start something when you're looking to make an object. Like if you're going to make a chair, you might start with a cylinder as the chair leg and then build out from there.
Oh no, goddamn cube again! I want a
circle. Very curious. You want to click it? It's the monkey. So let's just click the monkey. Why does Blender have a monkey? Well, fun fact, every 3D software has its own little random complex object because it's useful to test things like shaders or complexities of scenes. So 3ds Max has the Utah teapot, Houdini has the toy, and I think pig's head. Blender has the monkey. And it's actually called the Suzanne monkey head, which you can see in the top left there, named after the orangutan from the film Jay and Silent Bob Strikes Back.
Okay, that's cool.
Random piece of trivia. So let's get a better look at it. And to that, we need to orbit, which you can do by on your mouse there, your scroll wheel. That is called your middle mouse button. If you push that in and then drag around, that is now orbiting.
Ooh.
Now, for my laptop users, you've just panicked because you realize you don't have a mouse. How are you going to orbit around? First of all, probably a good idea to get a mouse for 3D work. It will come in handy.
Okay.
But in a pinch, you can get by without it just by up here in the top right-hand corner, this little gray circle, anywhere in the gray section. If you just left-click, drag on that.
I realized why that didn't work. Sorry, chat. I just realized it didn't work. It's been a minute since I did this. Shit. Okay. I'll fix it later. Wait. Fucking up, chat. I'm gonna get it one day. There we go. I got it. Yeah. Okay.
That will do the exact same thing. Or if you want, you can go to Edit Preferences, and then underneath Input, there's Emulate 3-button mouse. And that means that if you hold down Alt and then left-click drag, that will do the exact same thing. Also, whilst you are in User Preferences, you might want to go to Interface, and you've got Resolution Scale. If you're on a 4K monitor, you might find that your menus and buttons are really small and you kind of have to like squint in to see it. So personally, I like to keep my 4K monitor around about 1.5. Since this is a tutorial, I'll make it nice and big so you can see what I'm doing. Okay, so that's orbiting around with the middle mouse button. If we want to zoom in, we can do that just by scrolling in and out. We could also do it by going up to the magnifying glass tool there and then just left click dragging and then moving the mouse back and forth. That does the same thing. Or you could hold down Control and then middle mouse button, and that will do a smooth zoom as well. Okay, so one thing you might notice looking at this is that it's not very pretty, right? It's just kind of got this flat, bland, gray lighting over everything. And that's because this state right now is called viewport shading. And it's kind of a lightweight, optimized way to view the scene, just as you're building it. But if you want to create a final pretty image, that's called rendering. And you can actually switch into rendered mode by going up here into the top right-hand corner. You can see we're currently in the viewport shading mode. If we go 2 across, you should see rendered view mode. So if we click that, your computer might stall for a quick second whilst it loads it in. You can see it's now different. We have directional light. We have shadow cast across the monkey. So it's now currently being lit by this lamp up here. So if I wanted to, zoom in on that lamp there and just kind of like move it around, you can see it's kind of hard to focus on. Like it's always exactly not in the right view. And that's because we are centered on our monkey right now. We need to change the focus. We need to pan to something else. So we could do that one of 2 ways. One, if you're on a laptop, you could use the little move tool there. That will do that. Or everyone else, shift, middle mouse click, drag.
All right,
that
I ain't
will
gonna
do
lie.
the same thing. So middle mouse is
I'm gonna start the
now
donut.
we know how Blender functions. Let's start building.
I'm learning the functions as I go.
So as before, let's, well, first of all, just to repeat, make sure you are working with a new scene. Completely new scene. Don't want any remaining monkey heads lying around. Let's begin fresh slate. And let's delete our default cube just with the delete key.
Cube gone.
And let's replace it with a new object. You might remember the hotkey for that is Shift A. And as I mentioned before, you usually want what is underneath mesh because these are your primitives. So we want to start with something that most resembles what it is we're building. You know, if it was a house, you might start with a cube. If it was a vase, you might start with a cylinder. In our case, we want the donut-shaped one, although mathematicians call it a torus for some reason. So let's add that. Now, if I zoom in by scrolling up, we can see we have something resembling a donut. Looks like a pretty weak-looking donut, you know, very flimsy. Looks like the donut before it's cooked when they just drop it into the vat and it's just this little wispy thing. So immediately after you do some actions in Blender, you have options to change it. And the options are hidden down here in the bottom left-hand corner. You see a little box. And if you click that box, you see options. And look, we can change the dimensions of our torus.
I don't see it.
Now something options, and look, we can change the dimensions of our torus. Now something to note is that these options in Blender only appear in of click that button to change it, and the options are hidden down here.
I don't see it. So there we go. I don't see the thing he just clicked on.
In the bottom left-hand corner, you see a little box, and if you click that box, you see options. And look, we can change the dimensions of our torus. Now, something to note is that these options in Blender only appear immediately after you have done that action. If you do another action, like say deselect your torus by mistake, it's gone, right? Because Blender has assumed you have moved on. You've accepted the state of your donut, and this is the one you want, right? Now, if you haven't done anything drastic or changed this object in some severe way, you can temporarily bring it back by hitting F9. I never actually remember that hotkey. I just remember that immediately after I have added an object, if I want to tweak it, now's my chance before I move on to something else. Okay. So we could change, you know, the size of it here. We can also change the...
Lost my donut. Shift A to it.
Resolution. I'll use the term resolution loosely. To make it higher or lower fidelity. And a mistake that a lot of beginners make, and I say this because this was the exact mistake I made way back in 2003 when I started learning Blender, is they go, well, I need a realistic looking donut, so I guess I need to go really high resolution. I remember my first project, one of my first projects was for a high school film project, and I wanted to have a close-up of a face. Didn't realize faces were going to be difficult, but I went really high poly, and then it was just an absolute nightmare to work with. So the reason you don't want this is that, for starters, things that are high poly are very slow to render, and they're very hard to work with if you want to tweak the shape of it. But also, as you learn and you grow with 3D, you'll discover that it is a lot easier to add resolution to something later on, but it is very difficult to take it away if you've already built it into it and you don't need it. So, long way to say, what we actually want is to have as few polys, these are called polys, as you can get away with. So I'm going to go with 32 major and 12 minor. And don't worry that it looks all jagged, because we will fix that in a moment. Now, the major and minor, this is really up to you, but I find that something that looks kind of chunky, like a fat donut, just looks really delicious. So I'm going with something around about this size, okay? And once I'm happy with this, once I'm ready to click off, I click off, the options are gone, and this is it. This is the donut that I am now working with. So how do we make this look higher resolution, less jagged? Well, one way is to use smooth shading. So if you right-click with your object selected, go to Shade Smooth. And look at that, this is immediately better. Without getting too technical, this is kind of a fakery. It's sort of like the shader is telling the renderer that this is a really high poly dense mesh when it really isn't. It's just basically kind of like averaging out faces. And anyway, it's very technical, but basically means it's not going to add anything to your render time, but it's going to look smoother. And so this is generally what you want for something that is smooth and organic looking like we want. If you were rendering like architectural or like hard surfaces, like later on we're going to put this on a counter, then the object would obviously want to be flat. But in our case, we're just going to use Shade Smooth. But you might notice that looking at this, especially if you go side on, that you've got this sort of jagged shape around here, right? So the silhouette is really breaking that illusion that this is a high poly or a smooth looking donut. But thankfully, rather than adding all of that complex density into the mesh itself and then making it hard to remove later on, there is another way through modifiers. So if we go over here to our properties, right, it's very confusing, lots of option looking properties, click on the wrench, and this is the section called modifiers. And this is one of those
modifiers right here.
things. So if you've got your camera selected, you won't see it. So it's only when you've got actual meshes that you might see this modifier here. So it's
I'm gonna put this on screen too, so I want to look like I'm just hearing. Brother. Wish I had a third monitor for this reason.
much easier to explain if we just add one. So up here, add modifier.
Okay.
We've got a range of options here that can do a whole number of things. The one that we're looking for is underneath generate, and it is called subdivision surface. And it is a really common modifier that you use all the time. In fact, it's so common, it's actually, you can just immediately add it to any object just by hitting Control 1. But don't do that because we've already got it. So there. Now, some of you might have just discovered that your donut has disappeared. If that is the case, you need to go to Edit, Preferences, and then underneath Viewport, where it's got Subdivision at the very bottom, Disable GPU Subdivision. That will then make the subdivision perform on your CPU instead of your GPU, which is maybe non-existent or not performing whatever. But disable that and it should appear. But if it's already working for you, don't disable it. Keep it going because GPU will be faster. So what exactly is this doing? Well, it's a lot easier to explain if we look at the shade flat mode, because we're not being tricked by the smooth shading there. If I set this levels viewport to 0, this is our original mesh. This is before we add the subsurface, essentially.
Okay.
When we increase this, you can see that it is adding resolution to our mesh. And the more I increase this viewport levels here, the finer and finer that detail becomes. So to explain it, because this is such a very, very common modifier, it's kind of important to understand how it's working. You can see that this is these squares here, these are called faces, by the way. And for each one of these faces here, as I add a level, you can see it's becoming 4 faces, right? And then now if I zoomed in on this one face here, if I do another level, that's now become 4 faces. And then if I zoom in again, it's now become 4 faces.
I think I get it, but I don't get it.
Exponentially
I'll find out.
adding detail. And you might also know that it is smoothing it out as well. Like this jagged edge that we've got here, you can see now becomes smoother. So
yeah, as I add more faces, it becomes smoother.
Like imagine you've got like a 90-degree corner, right? Like this. If you add a subsurf modifier, what it's going to do is it's going to add a point here, right? Because this is the extra detail. It's also going to take that point there and it's going to average it out. It's going to average it out between these points. And it's going to create another one there and another one there. So you go then from having that really hard corner there to having something that looks a lot smoother. So it's going to take a point and it's also going to change it to make it look smoother, generally speaking. So there we go. So now as I increase this, you can see it's getting smoother and smoother. Now, the reason there are 2 options here, you've got levels viewport and levels render. So reminder, this gray area that we operate in is called our viewport. The render is the pretty version. So as an example,
this is 4.1.
You can see if I
just
just
make
turn
sure
it
a little
off the
save
viewport,
version.
it looks very jagged. But then for my render, if I increase that to 3, if I do my render, which you could go up there, and render image, or remember the hotkey, F12, you can see that that donut is now smooth, but I go back and you can see it's jagged. So the viewport, you want to generally keep it lightweight, and then the render time, that's where you want to get a really nice looking pretty image. So you want to often have 2 different levels. In our case though, I don't really think we need to go beyond 1, even for our final image, because this with shade smoothing turned on is good enough. And we're going to be adding more to the scene later on, so we don't want to make it too complex. So this is actually pretty good. Okay, so we have a perfect donut, and that's the problem. It's too perfect. You could spend decades trying to develop a machine in the real world that made a donut this perfect, and you never.
What do you do?
With shade smoothing turned on is good enough. And we're going to be adding more to the scene later on, so we don't want to make it too complex. So this is actually pretty good. Okay, so we have a perfect donut, and that's the problem. It's too perfect. You could spend decades trying to develop a machine in the real world that made a donut this perfect, and you never would. This is so mathematically precise that the eye will always see this as looking fake. So that's actually a problem you learn pretty quickly in 3D, that things that are too perfect just look fake. So you have to spend time making things look misshapen and adding variation there like you see in the real world because your eye expects to see it. So how do we do that? How do we make this donut look a little more lumpy and interesting? I do that by changing the mesh itself. So this mode that we are in right now, where we can, click on different objects, is called object mode. And I know that because in the top left-hand corner, you can see we are in object mode. Earlier. But if I click the drop down, you can see I get a number of other options here. And these options, again, will change depending on the object you've got selected. If I've got a lamp, my little light there selected, you can see I've only got object mode. My camera, I've only got object mode. But a mesh will give you extra options here. So let's enter into edit mode.
Okay.
Ooh. Right. Now, you can see our mesh, our object has become something that looks weird. It's got a bunch of little points on it with lines and very technical. Well, that's because this is actually what the mesh is made up of. These little points here, which you can click on just by selecting, are called your vertices. The singular term is called vertex. I never say that. I like to just call all of them vertices, regardless of whether it's one or two, just because you always get some comments that go, actually, it's called vertex if it is singular. Anyway, so these are called your vertices. And if you have two of them joined by a line, that is called an edge. And if you have four of them forming a face, then it's called a face. So with these, I can quickly change the shape of my object by using the same hotkeys as before. And if I want to move this, then I would simply tap G, right? And you can see it's now attached to my cursor. And then if I want to confirm its movement, I just do a single left click, and there it is. Now, if I go back into object mode, like that, you can see that my mesh has changed, okay? And by the way, the hotkey for jumping in and out of object and edit mode is just tab, okay? So you can see it's just toggling between those two modes because it's so common that you want to just quickly change things that it's just easily accessible by that. Now, this is okay, right? But you can see it's like, it's got like some artifacting. It's like, it's not the greatest lump,
it's cool,
right?
Yeah,
so how do we make it look a little more natural? Well, I mean, you could, you move one, drag it out, okay, click, and then I move, the next one next to it, right? I'll move that out, and then I'll move this one out a little bit, and then I move this one, and it's like, okay, well, now I've got the thing, but it took me like 5 actions. Ridiculous, right? No one wants to do that. No one's got time for that. Thankfully, there is a tool in Blender just for this, and it's called proportional editing, and you can enable it up there in your toolbar. So if you enable that, now if I...
Where is it?
Up there in your toolbar. So if you enable that...
I don't see that. I'm in edit mode. I don't see what he just clicked. Unless it's somewhere else on my end. Yeah.
Now, if I hit G and I move it out, you will see I get a little ring around my cursor there, and that is now changing the mesh around it. Now, a lot of people in my previous tutorials were like, I don't see what's going on. You have to have something selected first, and then when you hit G, you will see that little
like a little
circle
toilet
of influence. Okay, now this circle of influence, if I scroll up, you can see it's shrinking its circle of influence. And if I scroll down, it is expanding its influence. So it's only going to affect what is in that ring there, okay? If you are on, if you don't have a mouse with a scroll wheel,
so if
you
I
can
do
also
this,
change the influence by using page up and page down. And if you don't have page up or page down because you're on a Mac keyboard, then what you would have to do is go to key map and then change your page up and page down to something else.
Loser. Okay,
just
that's
so that
cool.
you get around that. But guys,
grab this.
Get a mouse with a scroll wheel. I think they're, I don't know, 50
Full G.
cents or just in the nearest landfill somewhere. Get a mouse because it's going to make your life in 3D a lot easier. Okay, so with this, I can now make quick work of lumpy shapes, okay? So I just drag that out. Okay, I've got a little lumpy shape there. Maybe I go down here and I pull this up just by hitting G, moving it up. Okay, so already...
A little lumpy.
This is looking a little more natural, right? Because even if we were making a stylized world for a Pixar movie or something like that, you can't have just a spherical looking donut, sorry, spherical, round looking circular donut, because it just, your eye will see it as fake. So very quickly, I'm able to add a little bit of variation to the donut, just all around it, just a little bit over here. And you can see that I am just changing my circle of influence depending on what size of a lump I want to make. So if I just want to make like a little bit that sticks out, I can make a small circle just by scrolling up like that. And you just want to do that until you get something that looks a little more natural. I might want to make the inner part as well. We just drag that in with a smaller circle, and that's pretty good. Let's just have a look from the top. I might actually just drag that out, make it a little bit more like that.
Oh.
But there you go. That's pretty good for a donut. It's still kind of simple. It's not too detailed. But
let me focus on my donut a bit. I didn't like it. Okay, let's pull this out. Boom. Give it a little bump right there. Boom. Little bumps right here. Then we're gonna hit that. Something right there. Yeah. Boom. Sit that right there. Boom. Pop that out a bit. I don't want to go too crazy with it. Okay. It's a little odd looking. I like it.
it's got just enough variation in it that it's more interesting to look at. Oh, one more thing, forgot to mention. Go back into edit mode with tab. Donuts, when they're sitting in the little vat thing, right? They're only like half submerged, so then they have to be flipped. But it means that the bit that's nearest to the surface is getting less heat. So essentially what I'm saying is the bit that's around the donut, the circumference of it is usually a little bit flatter. So donuts aren't like perfectly round all the way around. They're usually a little bit flatter. So what I want to do is I want to select these vertices along here, and then I want to shrink them. Now,
so the third layer.
Now I could go around one by one like this, which is actually what I used to do when I was learning Blender pre-YouTube days, and there was no tutorials. What I would do this if I wanted to select this. Silly, because there's a function, a tool for that, and it is edge select. So if you hold down Alt on your keyboard and then do a single left click on not the points, but on the edge, right, this little line here, you can see it's selected all the way around. So it's anything that's connected along that line is now selected.
Okay.
So if I want to shrink this, right, what would I do? Well, I mean, yeah, you could like move it around, right? We want to shrink it. We want to change the scale of it. So we would use the hotkey S for scale. So S, and I'm going to scale that in. And I actually don't want proportional editing. So I'm going to turn that off and now scale in and just make it a little bit flatter. And there you go. See, it just feels a little bit more natural, doesn't it? Looks a little bit closer to what a donut looks like.
Yeah.
And by the way, don't worry if yours doesn't look exactly like this, like your lump is a little bit off. Like some people get a little bit too precious with the tutorial. Like, I gotta match exactly everything I do. Like I'm just working on the fly as well. So just make what you think looks good. Maybe you think this is not misshapen enough and you want to add more, go for it, because it might actually turn out better than what mine is. Now, before we move to the next part, how to save. How to save. Blender, very, very easy. You just go save as, and you just get one file. It's called .blend. very literal file extension, really pushing the limits of what a file extension can be. That's almost a word, Blender. Anyway, dot blend, and that's it. And then next time you open it up, it's exactly like it. It's not like ZBrush where you got like 4 or 5 different ways to save a project or an object or a tool or a... Hate ZBrush. Okay, that's how you save. Now, also, finally, I would say, if you need help, because I know if you're stuck and then you leave a YouTube comment, you might not get a reply. If you want immediate help, I've got a Discord. So I'll put the link below. So there's like a little channel in there where you can just ask for specific donut help. So if you're having issues, feel free to jump into that. And also, guys, don't beat yourself up. Like 3D is definitely has like a steep-ish learning curve. So you're in that steep slope right now.
I will learn 3D.
And it's really common. Like a lot of this stuff is very foreign. 3D is very unique. It's very different to a lot of 2D tools. But don't give up. Like it's definitely achievable to learn and self-learn at home. You don't have to go to school. You don't have to pay for a tutor. It's really easy to get help online nowadays. So do make use of that Discord. Post comments as well in the YouTube comments if you want to. But I hope you stay with it. So if you're ready to jump to the next part after you've saved your blend file, go ahead, click here, and I will see you there.
Part 3.
Did you guys know that Blender 4.0 had a change that makes it more realistic by default? Or that there's a new technology that is going to expand the uses for 3D exponentially? Well, you would if you were on my free newsletter called This Week in 3D. It's an email from me once a week with 3 to 5 things that I found interesting that week from the world of 3D.
I'll check my email.
Sometimes I share a new tool that I found, a remarkable tutorial, a new Blender feature, a news story that affects the industry. So click the link in the description, enter your email address, and then you will stay up to date on the world of 3D. It's always free and it's always written by me. Now, on to the tutorial. Welcome back to the Donut Show, where we make sad little donuts that we cannot eat. This is where we finished up at the end of part 1. We've got our nice looking donut, and now we're going to make that icing, which looks complex, but is actually fairly simple. Now, as I mentioned before, if you want to add an object, you go Shift A, right? And then you start with something that resembles what you're trying to create. But we already have something that resembles the exact shape we want to create. It's the donut, because we want the icing around the donut. So let's just reuse this information. So we can do that by duplicating the object. And if you don't know the hotkey for it, you could just go Object, and then you'd find it here where it says Shift D. So Shift D. Now, when you hit that, you are in a placement state, essentially. Like it's duplicated, and it's now saying, where do you want to place it? Now, in our case, and actually often, you don't actually want to change its placement. You want to duplicate it exactly where it was. So you can cancel the movement by hitting Escape or right-clicking. Now, when you do that, it looks like it's canceled the duplication, but you can see in your outliner, it has duplicated it. You've got 2 objects, but it's just in the exact same place, which is what we want. So first things first, we need to name them, or else we could get very confused very easily. So you can name an object by just double clicking it in the outliner and then just typing in the object. The other way you can name something, I'll just show you the second way. If you select the Taurus 0.001, that's your icing object. If you're in the 3D view, where your cursor, is over the 3D viewport, if you hit F2, that's another very quick way that you can name something without having to go up to the outliner to find your object. So with our icing object selected, let's go into edit mode by hitting Tab. So we want the icing on the top, which means this bottom half of our mesh here is redundant. Don't need it. So we want to delete it. So if we just dragged over the bottom here, you can see it looks like we've selected the bottom half of our donut, but if you were to move around, you would see, oh, we haven't actually. It's only selected, annoyingly, what is facing the camera. Where there's a mesh, it's not gone through the mesh. A lot of users find this annoying. I agree. Sometimes it seems like that would be the more default one that would make more sense, but anyway, don't want to argue. So if you want to select through a mesh, you can go up to here in your top navigation, toggle X-ray. If you turn that on, it's going to enable you to see through the mesh. Ooh. And now when I drag over it, you can see that I have selected all through the mesh as I move around it. By the way, you might find it like when you're in this state, it's kind of hard to select. Like it's easy to kind of accidentally select what is above it, and depending on what you've got at your end, that might have happened already. So another way to easily just look directly on the side-on of your donut is to just click one of these, like in your gizmo here, instead of just dragging around, just do a single click on either the green one or the red one, the X or the Y. And now we're in that state. You can see it's flattened it, so it's put you in orthographic mode, which actually you can toggle to at any time, just over there, which just makes it easier to just do a single, all the way through the mesh, select. All right. Okay. All right. So we want to delete that. So just hit the delete key. You get an extra option here of what do you want to delete: edges, faces. You want the vertices. That's everything. And now we have, if we go back to object mode, and then let's turn off toggle X-ray as well. Of what do you want to delete: edges, faces. You want the vertices.
Delete. Oh, I misread that.
That's everything. And now we have, if we go back to object mode, and then let's turn off toggle X-ray as well, and you can see it's working. We got half the donut on top of itself, but as you move around, you can see you get some flickering. Now this flickering happens, and it's actually a very common, it's actually a good warning sign to you as an artist, because it means you've got faces on top of faces, and the 3D software doesn't know which face it wants to render. Right? So it's like sometimes saying it's the front face, no, the back face, the front face, and there's no understanding. Sometimes you can actually spot it in TV shows and like VFX or like low budget stuff. You can see something flickering in the background, and I'm like, ooh, there it is, Z fighting. That's what it's called, Z fighting, or Z fighting if you're not American. So what we want to do is we want to give thickness to our icing. So we can do that with a solidifier modifier. So adding another modifier. Make sure you've got your icing selected, not your donut. Okay. And then here where you've got add modifier, we're going to go generate, solidify. Okay. Now it's made it worse.
Oh, it is.
It's actually added a thickness to our mesh there, but it's actually done it the wrong way. So it's with the normals. Yeah, what is it? It's trying to put the extra bit inside the donut. So we can change that by just changing the offset here in the solidifier settings. Just drag that all the way to 1. Some of you might have actually found that it was correct before, just depending on which way your normals were. If that's the case, keep it at -1, but everyone else keep it at 1. We just want to make sure it's actually outside. Okay. Let's just increase the thickness a little bit too. Let's go, 0.025. That looks pretty good. And great, we've got what looks like a yarmulke on our donut, a perfectly straight edge little hat for our donut. So let's make this look more like icing. So the edge is wavy all the way around. So to do this is where we get into the fancy, finger magic, because you're typing lots of keys. Anyway, okay. Go into edit mode, and we can see straight away that we can't see the mesh, and that's because the solidify modifier is obstructing our view. So these little boxes here, as I mentioned before, like this is to hide it from viewport, but if you want to just hide it from your edit mode, which is the state that we are in right now, the box next to it is the one that you uncheck, which means in object mode, when you're tabbed in object mode, you can still see it, but edit mode, it's it's temporarily hidden for you. So if I was to select one of these points here and move it down, you can see that it's working, but it would be, again, a lot of effort to go round and round and do these one by one. So we want to use that old familiar proportional fall-off tool again. So proportional editing on, and now as I move it down, let's just lower the slider way down here, and then select one of these points here and move it down. You can see that it's working, but it would be, again, a lot of effort to go round and round and do these one by one. So we want to use that old familiar proportional fall-off tool again. So proportional editing on, and now as I move it down,
wait, what was it?
Proportional fall-off tool again. So proportional editing on, and now as I move it down, let's just lower the slider way down here, and then let's pull this down. Okay, now we'll find issues. If we move to the side here, we can see the first issue we've discovered is that this is separating from our mesh here. And that's not what icing does. When it dribbles down, it follows the shape of the donut all the way down. So what we want to do is snap, undo it a number of times, snap the vertices to our donut underneath it. right? So for that, we need to turn on snapping up here. Okay, now there are a number of ways to snap in Blender. The default way is increment, which just means the like the grid floor.
What's the word, JT?
Like
what you up to?
Just like move it around, you can see it's just snapping to the grid floor.
Shouldn't
Not
take
helpful.
long now,
But we want to snap it to the face. And now with face snapping enabled, if we move this down, we can see, let's just look here, that the bottom bit is snapping to the face, but as you might have seen, the top bits, the rest of essentially what is inside of our circle of influence with this proportional editing, that's not being affected. Only the little point that we had selected was affected. So that's not what we want either. Normally that would be enough, but in this particular case, we want to also snap individual elements too. And let's go face project. Now, when we pull this down, you should see that these are also no longer clipping through the donut. But still, we have issues. Why is that? Well,
I'm having issues before we get to that issue. Why did I move it? What did I do wrong?
Donut. Element, normally that would be enough. Select it. Or the default way is increment, which just means the like the grid floor there. Like if you were to just like EV all the way around.
Solidifier.
So to do this, this is where we get into the fancy finger magic, because you're typing lots of keys. Anyway, go into edit mode, and we can see
edit mode. Okay.
Straight away that we can't see the mesh, and that's because the solidify modifier is obstructing our view. So these little boxes here, as I mentioned before, like this is to hide it from viewport, but if you want to just hide it from your edit mode, which is the state that we are in right now, the box next to it is the one that you uncheck, which means in object mode, when you're tabbed in object mode, you can still see it, but edit mode, it's it's temporarily hidden for you. So if I was to select one of these points here and move it down, you can see that it's working, but it would be, again, a lot of effort to go round and round and do these one by one. So we want to use that old familiar proportional fall off tool again. So proportional editing on, and now as I move it down, let's just lower the slider way down here.
Not moving. Did I do something wrong? Let's reopen it. File, open, don't save. Donut one. Open. Okay, let's restart this.
Or else we could get very... We're going to make that icing, which looks complex, but is actually fairly simple. Now, as I mentioned before, if you want to add an object, you go Shift-A, right? And then you start with something that resembles what you're trying to create. But we already have something that resembles the exact shape we want to create. It's the donut, because we want the icing around the donut. So let's just reuse this information. So we can do that by duplicating the object. And if you don't know the hotkey for it, you could just go Object, and then you'd find it here where it says Shift-D. So Shift-D. Now, when you hit that, you are in a placement state, essentially. Like it's duplicated, and it's now saying, where do you want to place it? Now, in our case, and actually often, you don't actually want to change its placement. You want to duplicate it exactly where it was. So you can cancel the movement by hitting Escape or right-clicking. Now, when you do that, it looks like it's canceled the duplication, but you can see in your outliner, it has duplicated
I'm
it.
trying to make a donut.
But it's just...
And this is like the default thing to learn how to do Blender.
So first things first,
I'm trying to make a donut.
We need to name them.
Overall.
We could get very confused very easily. So you can name an object by just double-clicking it in the outliner. and then just typing in the object. The other way you can name something, I'll just show you the second way. If you select the torus 0.001, that's your icing object.
So the goal here is to make a donut
view where your cursor, is over the 3D viewport.
Just a donut.
F2. That's another very quick way that you can name something without having to go up to the outliner to find your object. So with our icing object selected, let's go into edit mode by hitting tab. So we want the icing on the top, which means this bottom half of our mesh here is redundant. Don't need it. So we want to delete it. So if we just dragged over the bottom here, you can see it looks like we've selected the bottom half of our donut, but if you were to move around, you would see, oh, we haven't actually. It's only selected, annoyingly, what is facing the camera. Where there's a mesh, it's not gone through the mesh. A lot of users find this annoying. I agree. Sometimes it's seems like that would be the more default one that would make more sense.
It's like
anyway,
the Blender thing to do when you first start. So I'm going to do it just for the fun of it.
You can go up to here in your top navigation, toggle X-ray. If you turn...
Where's the X-ray at again? I lost X-ray.
That on, it's going to enable you to see through the mesh.
Yeah, if you exclamation point goals, you'll see what my goal is with Blender.
Selected.
We're gonna do it, but in phases.
By the way, you might find it like when you're in this state, it's kind of hard to select. Like it's easy to kind of accidentally select what is above it, and depending on what you've got at your
goals.
Might have happened
Sorry, with an S
already. So another way to easily just look directly on the side-on of your donut is to just click one of these, like in your gizmo here, instead of just dragging around. Just do a single click on either the green one or the red one, the X or the Y. And now we're in that state. You can see it's flattened it, so it's put you in orthographic mode, which actually you can toggle to at any time, just over there, which just makes it easier to just do a single, all the way through the mesh, select. All right. Okay. All right. So we want to delete that. So just hit the delete key. You get an extra option here of what do you want to delete: edges, faces. You want the vertices. That's everything. And now we have, if we go back to object mode, and then let's turn off toggle X-ray as well. And you can see it's working. We got half the donut on top of itself. But as you move around, you can see you get some flickering. Now, this flickering happens, and it's actually a very common...
So that's the goal, to learn
to you as an artist,
3D.
Because it means you've got
I want to make 3D
on top of faces.
I want more 3D models, but I don't want to pay for them.
Which face it wants to render, right? So it's like sometimes saying it's the front face. No, the back face, the front face.
No, more modeling and creating things.
You can actually spot it.
Animation later.
Like
but the goal is to learn how to make stuff.
Flickering in the background, and I'm like, ooh, there it is, Z fighting. That's what it's called, Z fighting or Z.
Yeah, the goal is to learn how to make things before we animate. We say for what I feel comfortable making.
A solidify modifier. So adding another modifier. Make sure you've got your icing selected, not your donut. And then here where you've got add modifier, we're going to go generate solidify. Okay. Now it's made it worse. It's actually added a thickness to our.
I just realized. Oh, we gotta start over because I just realized I did all that on the donut. So we open the donut again. Open the donut. Control Shift D. Escape. Donut. Yeah, so the goal is to learn how to make things. All right, we're going to do that. Edit mode. We're on the icing. Get rid of the bottom half. Delete vertices. Boom, we're on icing still. We're on icing. So if we get off edit mode, we get this flickering. Go add, generate, solidifier, solidify. Boom. Okay.
Mesh there, but it's actually done it the wrong way. So it's with the normals. Yeah, what is it? It's trying to put the extra bit inside the donut. So we can change that by just changing the offset here in the solidifier settings. Just drag that all the way to 1. Some of you might have actually found that it was correct before, just depending on which way your normals were. If that's the case, keep it at -1, but everyone else, keep it at 1. We just want to make sure it's actually outside. Okay. I also, let's just increase the thickness.
Because I always had a
to
thing for 3D.
0.025, that looks pretty good. And great, we've got what looks like a yarmulke on our donut.
Yeah, I always had a thing for 3D.
Straight edge,
but I never like
for our donut. So
sat down and tried to learn.
More like icing. So the edge is wavy all the way around. So to do this, this is where we get into the fancy finger magic. Because you're typing lots of keys. Anyway, go into edit mode.
Edit mode.
And we can see straight away that we can't see the mesh, and that's because the solidify modifier is obstructing our view. So these little boxes here, as I mentioned before, like this is to hide it from viewport. But if you want to just hide it from your edit mode, which is the state that we are in right now, the box next to it is the one
it's a lot of work.
Unchecked.
Yeah.
Which means in object mode, when you're
3D is a lot of work, but it's so rewarding. I could do so much with it. Like I said, I like 3D models.
So
I like
if I
3D VTuber models a lot more.
And move it down,
but I don't want to keep paying for 3D VTuber models.
But it would be, again, a lot of effort to go round and round and do these one by one. So we want to use that old familiar proportional fall off tool again. So proportional editing on.
What the fuck? What happened to my... Why do I keep fucking something up?
And now, as I move it down, let's just lower the slider way down here, and then let's pull this down. Okay, now we'll find issues. If we move to the side here, we can see the first issue we've discovered is that this is separating from our mesh here. And that's not what icing does. When it dribbles down, it follows the shape of the donut all the way down.
Oh, I fucked something else. Bruh. What did I fuck up? I guess I didn't fuck nothing up.
Is snap, whoops, undo it a number of times, snap the vertices to our donut underneath it, right? So for that, we need to turn on snapping up here. Okay, now there are a number of ways to snap in Blender. The default way is increment, which just means the like the grid floor there. Like if you were to just like move it around, you can see it's just snapping to the grid floor. Not helpful. But we want to snap it to the face. And now with face snapping enabled, if we move this down, we can see, let's just look here, that the bottom bit is snapping to the face, but as you might have seen, the top bits, the rest of essentially what is inside of our circle of influence with this proportional editing, that's not being affected. Only the little point that we had selected was affected. So that's not what we want either. Normally that would be enough, but in this particular case, we want to also snap individual elements too. And let's go face project. Now, when we pull this down, you should see that these are also no longer clipping through the donut. But still, we have issues.
I don't think this is right.
Why is that? Well, it is actually working correctly. We can see these are not going through the mesh. So why does it look like it is? The reason for that is that there's actually just not enough information here. So if we go side on, you can see, right, like we've got this point here, and then we've got another point down here. And
I say I turn on the
long stretch in between, right? So that means that
I feel like I'm doing something wrong.
Donut, oh gosh, that goes that goes around like that.
I might have to restart this off screen.
There's nothing to snap it to, essentially. So what we need to do to fix this is just add more geometry. So these little vertices here, we need more of those vertices. So we can do that by actually using the subdivision surface modifier. Because although it is a modifier, you can apply the modifier. And the modifier currently is adding geometry.
I feel like what am I fucking up? It's like I do something right, then I mess something wrong. Don't save. Donut. Oh, okay. Shifty. dupe. Escape. Boom. That one's donut. Is this icing? Oh, we got donut and icing. We hit edit mode, X-ray mode. We're on icing. Want to get rid of the bottom half for icing. So we're gonna delete vertices. Okay, we still got my dots. Then we go off edit mode. It's clipping. So we go to select modifier, generate. Solidify. Generate, solidify. He said turn this all the way up to 1 and make this 2, 5. Boom. I go to edit mode. Okay, I got my little dots back. I don't know what the fuck happened for me to lose my dots.
So let's just apply it. So to apply it, we just click this little.
So now let's go back. Go back to the snapping portion.
And move it down. You can see that it's working, but it would be, again, a lot of effort to go round and round and do these one by one. So we want to use that old familiar proportional fall-off tool again. So proportional editing on, and now as I move it down, let's just lower the slider way down here, and then let's pull this down. Okay, now we'll find issues. If we move to the side here, we can see the first issue we've discovered is that this is separating from our mesh here. And that's not what icing does. When it dribbles down, it follows the shape of the donut all the way down. So what we want to do is snap, whoops, undo it a number of times, snap the vertices to our donut underneath it, right? So for that, we need to turn on snapping up here. Okay, now there are a number of ways to snap in Blender. The default way is increment, which just means the like the grid floor there. Like if you were to just like move it around, you can see it's just snapping to the grid floor. Not helpful. But we want to snap it to the face. And now with face snapping enabled, if we move this down, we can see, let's just look here, that the bottom bit is snapping to the face, but as you might have seen, the top bits, the rest of essentially what is inside of our circle of influence with this proportional editing, that's not being affected. Only the little point that we had selected was affected. So that's not what we want either. Normally that would be enough, but in this particular case, we want to also snap individual elements too. And let's go face project. Now,
I don't have that. Now, who we snapping? See, I go to, I see face. I see these. I see this.
Snap individual elements too.
Face project. Okay.
Let's go face project. Now, when we pull this down, you should see that these are also no longer clipping through the donut. But still, we have issues. Why is that? Well, it is actually working correctly. We can see these are not going through the mesh. So why does it look like it is? The reason for that is that there's actually just not enough information here. So if we go side on, you can see, right, like we've got this point here, and we've got another point down here, and then we've got this long stretch in between, right? So that means that this part of the donut, oh gosh, that goes that goes around like that is just not, there's nothing to snap it to, essentially. So what we need to do to fix this is just add more geometry. So these little vertices here, we need more of those vertices. So we can do that by actually using the subdivision surface.
I gotta change my
although it is a modifier, you can apply the modifier. And
click off Blender, then we hit the
adding
hotkey.
Geometry, so let's just apply it. So to apply it, we just click this little drop down here next to the modifier, and then go apply. Now, if we,
Sorry,
nothing
chat.
should have changed from this
One
view because
second.
the same information is being displayed.
Okay. What's this? Okay. 1 second.
But in edit mode, you should now see exponentially more faces because here, where there was, one face before, you can see there's now a lot more, right? It is actually working correctly. We can see these are not going through the mesh. So why does it look like it is? The reason for that is that there's actually just not enough information here. So if we go side on, you can see, right? Like we've got this point
I feel like I'm not doing something
we've got
right.
another point down here, and then we've got this long stretch in between, right? So that means that this part of the donut, oh gosh, that goes that goes around like that is just not, there's nothing to snap it to, essentially. So what we need to do to fix this is just add more geometry. So these little vertices here, we need more of those vertices. So we can do that by actually using the subdivision surface modifier. Because although it is a modifier, you can apply the modifier. And the modifier currently is adding geometry, so let's just apply it. So to apply it, we just click this little drop down here next to the modifier and then go apply. Now, if we, nothing should have changed from this view because the same information is being displayed. But in edit mode, you should now see exponentially more faces because here, where there was, one face before, you can see there's now a lot more, right? 4x. Okay, 4x. Okay, so now if we pull down, we should see it is snapping.
Wait. I wanted to.
Now, if we, nothing should have changed from this view because the same information is being displayed. But in edit mode, you should now see exponentially more faces because here, where there was one face before, you can see there's now. It is actually working correctly. We can see these are not going through the mesh. So why does it look like it is?
Sorry for me rewinding.
Is that there's actually just not enough information here. So if we go side on, you can see, right? Like we've got this point here, and then we've got another point down here, and then we've got this long stretch in between, right? So that means that this part of the donut, oh gosh, that goes that goes around
start streaming
like
earlier on weekends.
It's just not, there's nothing to snap it to, essentially. So what we need to do to fix this is just add more geometry. So these little vertices here, we need more of those vertices.
Okay.
So we can do that by actually using the subdivision surface modifier. Because although it is a modifier, you can apply the modifier. And the modifier currently is adding geometry, so let's just apply it. So to apply it, we just click this little drop down here next to the modifier and then go apply. Now, if we, nothing should have changed from this view because the same information is being displayed. But in edit mode, you should now see exponentially more faces because here, where there was, one face before, you can see there's now a lot more, right? 4x. Okay, 4x. Okay, so
I have way more
if
faces.
We pull down, we should see.
Hold on, I don't think I should have that many. I have too many faces, I think.
It is snapping.
Yeah, I get enough sleep.
Mode,
I think so.
Now conforming to the mesh.
I just sleep and I wake up.
Snug way, because there's information there for it to use. Now this shading artifact here that we can see, this don't worry about that. We'll fix that in just a moment. But I need to show, because I've shown you like 4 things that we need to enable for this to work. I got to show you one more, because if I pull down and if I scroll up, you'll see something. Okay, if I was to click, we get this horrible problem here. And I've done this tutorial enough, and enough people have hit this issue that I need to call it out specifically, because it seems to be a big point that a lot.
I might start this over. I'm gonna start over. And we're gonna re-pick it back up on Tuesday. I know it's a short stream. I'm just tired. I didn't start that early. But we're gonna pick this back up on Tuesday. So I'm not gonna save it. Because if you look, hold on, I'm gonna show you his. Oh, that's me. Oh, that's nice. Because you look at his donut compared to mine's, I have way more things, way more faces. Honestly, I'd be having enough sleep this entire. But yeah, you look at mine's compared to his, it's way more faces than his. So I need to figure out how to get way more than him. I've been following him. The only downside is I keep trying to hit my emotions on my VTuber, so I must have hit something. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna start the donut over. I'm gonna get to this part. Yeah. But like, it's this part right here. You see like all these things, all these squares? I shouldn't have that many squares. Also, look. Look at that right there. I don't know what the fuck is happening right there. It's like pulling. If I go to this, look, it's not, it's like it's pulling this from the other side. So yeah. So it's a little oopsie. So I could probably get to this part without a tutorial, the icing part. But I'm gonna probably redo the tutorial up until this part. Then we're gonna pick up the icing part on Tuesday. That is not a knife. Where? Why would you? First of all, why are you cutting your donuts? Huh. Well, pick up my hands. You can do it. My hand tracker's not working. It was working earlier. Come on, G. I can't point at JD and laugh. JT and laugh. It's not working. You win this round. You lucky. Wait. I saw movement. Yeah. Why are you pointing? Why are you cutting your donuts? You say you touch your donuts on fucking. Fuck you cutting your donuts for? Hmm? Hmm? Come on. Why you cutting them? I'm waiting. That's what I thought. So yeah. We're gonna pick this back up on Tuesday. I'm gonna redo it. Get back to this. Better. Better rip your donuts in half. What the hell? Keep picking up my mic as an arm. So we're gonna get back to this on Tuesday. I'm gonna redo it Monday. Monday and Tuesday before sure I'm gonna redo this. Promise you. We're gonna pick back up on Tuesday. I will get this. Remember the goals. I want to be able to make a bunch of donuts with no problems. I will. I will make all the donuts. Make like 5 donuts. But yeah, I'm gonna head out. I know it's a really short stream. Holy shit. I ain't even stream for 2 hours. Let's stream. Let's get to the 2-hour mark. So I'm not gonna save again. Let's watch some funny videos on the internet. Let's watch. I like watching Daily Dose on the internet.
Hello everyone, this is your Daily Dose of Internet.
Pause, thank you. Transform. Reset transform. There we go. Oh my gosh. Oh. wait. Why did Air do that? What the Air doing? Why is Air do that? That's so weird. Oh my god. Oh my god. Holy shit.
This guy managed to break the AI at the drive-thru.
Hi, welcome to Taco Bell. What can I get started for you today?
Can I get 18,000 water cups, please?
Okay. What can I get for you?
Bad tree.
Oh.
They figured out the best way to deal with spiders in their house.
He ate it. What the fuck? No, fucking the corn up.
This guy figured out a new way to play a violin. Imagine living next to a self-driving car parking lot where it's just robots honking at each other at 4 a.m.
What the fuck is this? This is some Terminator shit, dude. That baby gonna be smart as fuck.
Help.
Oh. Oh. He like, I was just gonna take care of that.
These has dropped the best beat of 2024.
Show yourselves.
Oh my god, I never heard a cat sound like that. Oh.
This man suffers from Parkinson's disease, but some brand new medication has been developed to return his life to normal.
What the fuck? What drugs he taking?
One. Yeah.
Oh, he finna fall. He's finna fuck up. Oh, he didn't fuck up.
I had no idea that mud volcanoes were so gloopy.
What the fuck? I don't like that. Oh. He peeled his...
That is the end of this video. We hope you enjoyed. And
Just peel it
we'll
right
see
back.
you guys again very, very soon. Later.
Bruh, if you gonna do that, ain't no point.
Hello everyone, this is your Daily Dose of Internet. This guy left some blue cheese in his car, so now his entire car is covered in mold.
Now the car is covered in blue cheese mold. I kid you. Look at this. It looks like cat hairs.
His
Or
car
like
is
soap
moldy.
stuck everywhere. That's from Blue.
One of my subscribers was in a museum and decided to record the best dap of all time. This dog really wants to say hello.
What the fuck? That's weird.
There's a guy just playing Elden Ring on the sidewalk. Kind of cool. Huh.
I'm not really sure what the end goal was, but apparently this guy stole a police car.
What? Why would you do that?
For some reason, this duckling is really good at climbing.
Puro patinho que as minhas filhas ganharam. Olha
What
só,
the
que coisa louca.
Okay. Okay, little
fugir.
dude.
Pra fugir do quintal, ele vai escalando o muro. Inacreditável.
What the fuck?
One of my subscribers recorded a video of a spider dancing at a club.
Okay. Okay, this spider chill.
I think it's time for her to grab her tickets and run.
She cheated.
I think this
Then
bitch
look-
found a glitch and managed to turn off gravity.
What the fuck? Who broke the bird? Oh.
You'll never guess what fell into this pool.
A dog? A horse? What the fuck are you doing there, bro? You trying to keep the sun on him?
So I guess armadillos love to play. This iridescent cloud was spotted in Vietnam a few days ago.
Oh, that's sick. I'm gonna have an experience of what?
An astronaut in the International Space Station used a $38,000 camera lens to record this incredible time lapse while floating over Earth. That is the end of this video. We
That's
hope you
sick.
enjoyed. And
Alright,
I'll
let's
see you
watch
guys
one more.
again.
I love
very,
just
very
watching
soon.
these
Later.
at the end of the stream. Let's watch one more.
Hello everyone, this is your daily dose of internet. She just woke up after having a colonoscopy.
What the hell are you trying?
I ain't never in my life seen a donkey and a dog be best friends.
Oh,
The car behind the cameraman was honking because this SUV wasn't moving.
This sucks too. Traffic is like so. The car behind me, they want this car to pull out and they can't pull out.
They got tired of waiting and decided to jump to the front of the line.
oh, it was the police.
And it's on my dash cam! What?
Oh shit, okay, let's go.
I just found out that cats are scared of cucumbers.
Oh my, that one just flew. You're like, what you want with it?
I guess I never realized how uneducated I was about the process of making soy sauce.
The fuck is it? Is this how soy sauce is made?
This lion didn't like how close the safari jeep was.
Yeah.
It was her very first time going through a car wash.
It made me scared for her life.
I found a really polite and patient cat.
I don't like this. Why you
And of
sitting like
course,
that?
his entire feed is just monkeys. This artist can make 3 drawings at the same time.
I can't even make one. That's sick. Ooh. Oh, that's dope as fuck.
The new US mail trucks are really goofy for some reason.
I ain't never seen one of those. Why it
It
look
really
like
took
that?
her 5 business days to fall down.
We got. Oh, he's zooming.
That is the end of this video. We hope you enjoyed. And I'll see you guys again very, very soon. Later.
Okay. That was
Hello everyone, this is your daily dose of internet.
all right. I'm gonna head out. I'll be back. Tuesday. Tuesday with one blender. Yeah. Bye.